the last class we've seen what is autocomplete and how to go with the autocomplete. And we have also seen what is the meaning of saying required. Required means if the field is not filled or if there is an invalid entry in the field, when you try to submit it, the browser will stop and tell the user that the value for this field is required and they are supposed to fill the value. So this is what happens when you put a required in front of a text field. If you just say type equal to text or type equal to email, type equal to any other thing for that matter, if you just put the attribute required, there is no need to specify anything. Required indicates that the value for this field is required and it must be a valid. For example, if you are trying to go for a email ID, and if the email ID is wrong or if the email ID is not specified, the validation will, the browser validation will prevent the form from getting submitted. That is true even with respect to the numerical fields. If you make a field as a number and if somebody has typed a character inside it, then when they try to submit it, they are going to get a invalid message. Then we have something called as a placeholder. You have already seen. Placeholder is used to place a text, that is the watermark on the text boxes. When you click on this text boxes, the watermark disappears, and if you don't type anything and click outside, the watermark reappears. Now this was there, and you might have seen this trick in the olden days with the JavaScript. Now there is no need for JavaScript for doing it. Just specify the placeholder and specify the text that you want it to be appear. Now this will not come in different color, except that it is going to come in italics with the grayed background. If you want it to style like in the yellow color and other things, you can always go for the CSS and style it. There is one other thing that you can use during the validation, and that is the pattern. Now, if you want something to be typed in a particular pattern, you can always do that thing by specifying the pattern. So here, the pattern says that it is a number, but it must be from 0 to 5 and there must be 5 digits in the pattern. So if the pattern does not match, the pattern is nothing but you've already studied how in the Unix how to specify this pattern, and you can anytime use them in your program in your HTML. Now if you want to try this one using the JavaScript, this is the script behind it. So in olden days, to get this kind of effect, you have to write such a large JavaScript, but it is not required in the modern browser. They automatically handle it. The next one is the read-only. If you make any of the field as read-only, the user will be only able to read it, but they will not be able to make any changes to the field values. So the way in which you do it is you take the text or anything and then just put a attribute saying that it is read-only. When the attribute is read-only, it just means to the users that they cannot make any changes. And the other attribute is the multiple, and I have already shown you when you have the multiple as the attribute. If it is given for an email ID, you can specify more than one email ID. If it is a phone number, you can get more than one phone number, that is multiple values. If it is a file, they can upload more than one file at a time. So if you say that the type of it is file, and if you say multiple is equal to multiple, it looks like the ordinary file upload button, but the difference here is when you try to select the items, you can select more than one. So this is from the Chrome and the other one is from the Opera. And when you try to select it, you have already, I think I've already shown you, when you try to select it, you can select more than one file and then try to show the content. Now let's look at some of the other enhancements that are made to the input type. Now this is not specific to the form. There are 30 new input types are being included, and we have already seen most of them in our lab work. Let's briefly go through each and one of them. Now, when you have the input type, you may feel that why you have to go for a specific input type. Remember, nowadays most of the people access their internet or their email or their website using the mobile or handheld devices. And these handheld devices, first of all, they have a problem with the real estate. You don't get a very large screen for handheld devices. And the other one is their keyboard changes along with the type of the input. So when the user, if you notice this one, this is called as a soft input panel. This is called as SIP. And the characters that are displayed here changes depending upon the different scenario. And this is a built-in system which is part of any mobile devices. And if you have used a smartphone, you may notice that unknowingly or knowingly, you notice that the keyboard actually changes. This is not possible with a hardware enabled keyboard. For example, your laptop or your desktop, for that matter, or if you have the BlackBerry, old version of the BlackBerry, all the keys were hardware keys, and it is not possible for them to change it. Whereas when it comes to the mobile application, which are like the iPhone or the Android or Windows phone, their keyboard changes according to the different context. And we can take care of this by specifying different input type. Let's look at the first input type, and the first input type is the search. Now what happens with the search is, search will give you the familiar search button on your form. User can type some text over there and they get a same look and feel as though it is a search button. Remember, search will not automatically go to Google and do a search, or it will not go to Bing and do a search. Search is just a button, it's just an input type. After getting the search key, you may have to query it and you may have to do whatever you wanted to do. So this is a simple one. Let's go and let's look at this in action. So if you have a form here, and if you say input type is search, and if you try to view this, if the browser supports it, you are going to see it. If the browser does not support, you will not be able to get it. I'm going to just change the browser to the Chrome because the Firefox may not support all the things that I'm going to demonstrate. And it is going to support this one. If the browser does not support it, as usual, it will just treat it like an ordinary text box, and then it will display the content. So you will notice here, this is not supporting that particular functionality. I'll switch back to the Chrome. In the Chrome, you will find if it is not supported, this is what you're going to say. It will appear like a text box without any effect inside it. Now, if it is supported by the browser, you will notice this to be slightly different. So when I click on here and when I start typing, you will notice that it shows a X mark here. That's the usual thing. If you want to clear that thing, just click on this X here. It's going to clear the content. I think it is supported by that also. If I start typing, it's not appearing here. The reason is the Firefox does not support that one. So when you have it, you get this one. You need to put a button and do whatever you wanted to achieve. This is just a input button. That's all. It will not submit anything to anywhere. When somebody clicks on it, what are you going to do? That is up to you. So this is just for the input. So you notice this is how it's going to appear, a familiar one. So if you have this one, this is the one that is shown in the Safari, and the output is shown on a Mac machine. That is why it appears with the Mac-like thing. So this is taken from the images taken from the net. And you notice if it is running on a Mac, it is going to appear like this. You get a X marks here, which you can click and close it. The next one is the email. and the email you are already familiar is going to accept only a valid email, and if at all you want to use it, you just have to say type is email, and then when you go over here, if you type a invalid email, I'm going to just put a submit button here. Okay, so now I'm going to put that thing. Now if I don't type anything and select it, it's going to go. Okay, that you must remember that. And if you type an invalid email and then try to submit it, you're going to get the message saying that you have to type it in the format of a email. So if you type in the format of a email, so you will notice that it's going to accept it. Whether that character is acceptable by your email or not, it is different thing. And if you don't type anything also, it's going to submit it. So you must remember that one. However, a very important thing is do not rely on this functionality. If you're building a real life application, don't just assume that the browser will validate the email ID. Now you know very well, if this is not supported, if that tag is not supported by the browser, what the browser will do is it will treat it like an ordinary text box and there won't be any validation. So if if a hacker wants to bypass the validation, they can always go back to the old version of the browser and then submit the unwanted email ID directly onto your site. So if you want to rely on this technique, set it that on the server side also you are validating the input and then accepting it. This is not a foolproof. As of today, these things are not foolproof, and in fact they are not supported by most of the browsers. Now this is what you are going to get on your mobile devices. Now if you make the type as email, you are going to see the keyboard will have this @ symbol dot and all the other one. So you will take. So the advantage of using type is equal to email is the mobile users will find it too easy to type their email ID because the keyboard is going to support or keyboard is going to change that. The next one is type is equal to URL, and the usual thing when you supply type is equal to URL, there will be a validation. If it is not a valid URL, the one that is typed over here is not a valid URL, and it's going to just say that this is not a valid URL. A valid URL is HTTP colon followed by something like your URL address. If it is not, it's not going to accept it. What's the advantage of using type is equal to URL on your keyboard that is soft input devices? Your keyboard is going to change with the dot, slash and .com as the special option for the user. This is one type of mobile that is being shown. Your Android may show slightly different from the iPhone, and your Windows phone may show a keyboard slightly different from this, but most of the things will appear in the same way. So in any way, it is not going to show you the entire keyboard like all the digits and other. What is a really important one it's going to show so that the user will not find it too difficult to enter the details. The next one is type is equal to telephone. If you make the type equal to telephone, the keyboard, the soft input of the mobile will change to a telephone setting, which you are already familiar, the telephone keypad, and the users can easily type their telephone. Now, it may not make a lot of difference on your desktop application, but definitely it's going to make a lot of difference to the other. So this is how it's going to appear. If you are using your email, this is how it's going to change. If it is a website, you notice that the things have changed altogether. And if it is a phone type is equal to tel, and this is what it's going to appear. So this is an advantage there. The next one is type equal to number, and if you specify type equal to number, you notice that the keyboard automatically changes to a numerical value on a mobile device, and it's much easier for the user to type that thing. Now when it is input type equal to number, you can specify what's the minimum value the number can accept, what is the maximum value, and what are the steps in which the number has to change, and you can also specify the default value. So what happens when you specify the type equal to number here? If you go over here and then say type equal to number, and then if you say minimum is equal to 10, max equal to say 100, and step equal to say 5. Let's look at this as an example. When I go over here, you notice that it's going to change it as a spin button. So that's the first thing. If you click on any of the spin button, the minimum value will appear. The step is 5 there. So as I click on it, it will take that step value. It will go to the maximum value and it will not go beyond that value. So I gave it as 100 and that's the end of it. It will not take beyond the 100 value. So this is how it's going to work. So you have the minimum, maximum, and if you specify the value, that will be the default value. 24 will be the default value when it starts. It's going to start up with the 24. If you want to specify some value like age of a person or some minimum quantity, value equal to 1 means minimum item purchase will be 1. Automatically it's going to appear there. Okay, so this is how it's going to appear on the other browser. You can use the spin for doing it. So you have this is the image taken from the net. It is not the one that I have used the copy paste from the net. So, but it is going to appear in the same. So you have this minimum equal to 1, maximum equal to 1, and the value. The next one is the type is equal to number in case of the mobile. I think I've already shown. What is important here is this one. That is you have pseudo selectors in this CSS. You can say colon in range. So it's a CSS. If it is in range, you can change the color. You can change some value. If it is goes out of range, you can change the color. So these are the pseudo selectors on the CSS. You can just select them. So how do you do that then? Suppose if you are given a name to this particular, if you are given a ID for this particular thing, let's assume that you have a ID for this one, and you gave the ID equal to say quantity. So let's say. Now, if you want to do a selection on the CSS, what you can do is on the CSS, you can go and say that qt by colon in range, and then say color equal to something. You can do all these things and so on. So on the CSS, you have a pseudo selector for it. When it is inside the range, you can have a pseudo selector. When it's outside the range, so it's like when it is inside, you can show blue color. When it goes outside, you can just show a red color to the user. So this is can have some CSS along with it. The next one is type equal to range. When you specify type equal to range, it has the same thing: minimum, maximum, step value, and the default value. The range will appear like a slider. So if I just change this one as range, you notice that it's going to appear like a slider, and we can change the value. The minimum, if I go over here, according to my definition, I started with the 10, I think 10 or 5. So the minimum value will be 10, the maximum will be 5 here, and you can go for the step value. So it's the same old thing. Range will appear like a range, and in fact the range is supported by almost all of them. Now remember, when the user selects this value, there is no visual hint to the user what is the value that is selected. If you want to get what is the value that is selected, you have to run a JavaScript to figure out what is the value that is there with the particular element, and then change the value. So it is only the contents are being shown to the user. So, for example, if you want to know what is the value that the user has selected, run a small JavaScript and make it happen. Get the element by ID and go and get the value within that element and then show it. Color is the next one. The color allows the user to select a specific color from the item. Now the color is only supported by it was only supported by the Chrome, but the latest version, the Opera, but the latest version of the Chrome is also supporting it. Color is not supported by the Firefox or the other browsers, so be careful with it. It helps you to select a color. So this is how it's going to appear. When you say type equal to color, when you click on it, this color box will appear. In the olden days, the Opera had one other small drop down box with the color of scratches inside it. Now they have changed it. When you click on it, it's going to come only like this. Both of them are supporting. I think the latest Chrome is also supporting it. Let me just go back and make it as color. And there is no range, and all these things are not applicable to this. Specify the color, and then if I go over here, and this is how it's going to appear. Both of them, the Opera and Chrome is only supporting it now. As of now, the Firefox is not supporting. You get the option, and you can select a color. In terms of the Firefox, it will show you the hexa code for that number. You can have the default value for this. So I'm going to say hexadecimal. Red is full, no blue, no green. Okay, so that is red in color. So you have the default as red color, and they can change it. Now, if you see this one in the Firefox, it's going to show you only this. No color will appear there because it will treat it like a ordinary text box. The other one enhancement is with respect to the date. Now, in older days, date was supported. This kind of option was supported only by the Opera. Now, both Chrome and Opera is supporting this format, and there are many options which are available. If you just say type equal to date, this is what it's going to appear. So when you click on it, they get the option to select a date. So let me go here and then quickly make this type equal to date, and I won't give a default value so that it shows everything. Now if I go to this Chrome, you notice this is how it's going to appear. If I keep the mouse on this one, I can go here and make a selection. If I make a selection and I can increase the value, I can click on this, increase this value on my own, or if I'm not happy, I can remove this. This format is same with the Opera, but I don't think so. The Firefox will do that thing for me. So if you notice, this Firefox will not be able to give you anything, so it is not yet supported by the Firefox. Now we have the different version here. You can just say date, you can say date and time. This was there, date time. In the meaning of this was, it was giving you a UTC time, that is the Greenwich Mean time. So now the problem is when you try to go over here and you notice that date and time, if you specify, both the Chrome as well as the Opera suddenly does not show anything. Now it was meant to show a UTC. I don't know, they have pulled out from the specification or they have done something with it. Now both of them are not supporting that. Instead of that, what they are supporting now is daytime local. This is supported. This is going to give you the local time. So if you go over here, you're going to get the same thing. So it's going to come in the local time. If you select anything, it's going to give you the local time, local date, as well as the local time. I'm going to just spin it up and specify the time with the value. Now this is going to give you the local time, and in the previous one, date time was supposed to be UTC time. That is the Greenwich time. This is that might have made some difference to the developers. Like when somebody is submitting the form from a remote location, the time in India and time in other countries are different. So it may be 6 o'clock from some countries. It may be 9 here. It may be 3 o'clock in some other countries. It depends. So what they said is we will have a Greenwich Mean Time, UTC time, so that wherever they submit it, we will get the same proper time. But later, I don't know, they might have changed this option. Now they are saying that let you take their own local time and do whatever you want to do along with it. So that daytime local is not supported until recently. Daytime is not supported until recently. This was there as it is. You used to get one extra option UTC in front of it, one text UTC in front of it. That's the only thing you used to get. Now the other one is you can go for selection of month. So this will help you to select only the month. So you notice here it has changed, and I can go over here, and if I select it, you will notice that it is going to select the full month here. It is not allowing me to select any one date as such. So I can select this one. It's going to be March. It's going to select one full month. Okay. Also, in olden days, when it was a date and time, they used to give it in the standard format, and the standard format happens to be year first, followed by 2-digit month, and followed by 2-digit date. This was a format that nobody used. No country was using it. But it was universally accepted that this is the universal standard for representing the date. Now, you know, variable date is represented by different countries. We are familiar with this format, and some of the other countries are familiar with this format. And it is always confusing whether the first one was the day, next one was the month, or first one was the month, and the second one was the day, and so on. But what they've done is they said that this is the universal standard. Start with the year, then with the month, then with the date. But now they have brought it back, and then they said that whatever your country locale says, get it, and then let the developer take care of that option. Then we have the other option, and the other option here is the week. Now this will help us to select a week time, and you notice that there are 52 weeks, so whatever week that you are going to select, notice that the week number is given. This is the 11th week of 2014. So you are going to get the week. So it may be used to somebody, I'm not very sure which application will make use of it. And the last one is the time. And if you specify the time, it's going to appear like a spin button, and somebody can select just the time by typing or just selecting the time. So this is time, hour, in minute. You can get it from the news. So let me quickly browse through it. This is for the date, and this is date time local. Let the date time local, and the next one is for month. And one thing, if you have your mobile, the selection option will change depending upon the type of the mobile. If you have a BlackBerry, it will change it their standard, and if you have Windows Phone, it will change it to the way in which they select the date, and it will be easier for the user to select it. The next one is time, week. You can select the week, and the next one is just the other one. This is not being used up. It is used to generate the private key and public key. Suppose if you want the browser to generate the private key and public key and give the public key back to you, then you can say input type equal to keygen. So here input keygen, and then you specify the security. So this is a different version. We don't use it in regular one. Maybe if you are doing a secure transaction, you want the browser to generate two keys and give the foreign key, the public key to you, so that you can encode it and then send it back. You can always use this one. The other option is the input type is output, directly output. This is not input type. This is just the output. You specify the output and use it. Now this was useful if you want to show the JavaScript output directly to the user, there was no way in which it was possible for you to directly show the output of any executing script on the browser. Now what they have done is they have come up with the option. I'm not going to waste my time in typing that whole thing. I will just copy paste this as it is. Let me just run this one as is here. So let me go over here and let me show you what it is trying to do. If I save this one, this is how it's going to appear. This is a numeric button. This is a numeric button. Immediately it's going to show you the output. This output is coming because of that output tag. So it is used to show the output directly to the user. So if you go over here and if you look at what it is going to come, the first one is the number, second one is the number, third one is the output, and this is for the two inputs. So for A and B. So you have the input name is A, name is B, and you say that it is for A and B. And what is happening is when somebody is changing, I'm doing the calculation. The name of it is O. I say O dot value is pass the A dot value plus pass the B dot value. So I do a calculation and then immediately show it directly onto the output. Okay, so this is useful in some scenario. Maybe you want to show the direct output to the user, like you have a page wherein you want to show the interest calculation to the user. So when the user types the premium account, premium, what is the interest, or when they type some value, if they select 5 items, what is the deduction, and so on and so forth. Immediately you want to show it, and you don't want to write a heavy duty JavaScript for that. You just want to show the output then and there, you can use it there. Okay. The next one is the progress. Now progress is used to show the progress. Like when you install it, you know very well, you get this progress bar that indicates what is the progress of the item. Now in the Chrome, this is how it's going to appear. In the Firefox, this is how it's going to appear. Now remember, it's not going to run directly. If you want it to show the progress, you have to change the value. The current value is 50, that means it's going to come and stop at the 50. You have to specify the maximum and minimum value, so it's going to show the value. Now this text will appear if the browser does not support the progress bar. So if you have Internet Explorer which does not support this one, you will find that the older version, not the newer version, you will find that it's going to show fallback text. As the option, it will not be able to show the content. Again, if you want, you can directly show it. So I can go over here and then I can straightforward, I can do it. Progress, you specify the minimum and maximum. I'm going to say maximum is 100 and the value, the same thing I'm going to show, is 50. And if you show it in the Chrome does not show you in a beautiful way, so it appears a bit dull, but the Firefox and the others will show it much beautifully. So you know this. If you want it to run, write a JavaScript and progressively increase the value of it. Identical to this, you have meter. Now meter is used to just make a selection. Like if you have if you want to give the ratings, like you have in YouTube and others, you can give whether the rating 5-star, 2-star, and other things. If you want this kind of a rating to be shown, you can go for this. Both will appear the same, but this is used to show only the measurement. Progress is meant for showing a continuous move, whereas this will is just to show, like if you have if you are writing a quiz application, and once the quiz is completed, you want to show what is the progress, what is the result, not the progress of the quiz, what is the final result, whether it is satisfactory, good, bad, or other thing, use the meter. As the quiz is running, if you want to show the progress, whether they have how many questions are left, like you want to show it in a bar, then use the progress bar. So when they click on next, the progress bar will go to the next, so that they know whether they have reached to the end of the test or whether they are at the starting point or whether they are at the middle. Both of them have the same option here. We don't get something different here. And then we have the meter. Rest part remains same. And you notice this time the Chrome is showing it in a beautiful way. And if you go to this Firefox, and it's going to show it slightly in a dull option, saying that this is not moving. In the previous case, if you have noticed, I'm going to just make it as a progress, you notice that it shows you that Windows progress bar, the one that you are familiar with it. So if you look at this Firefox, I'm going to just I've not refreshed it. So this is the meter now being shown. I'll just refresh it, and you notice that that effect there, it's actually moving. That it's going to show you that progress kind of effect. Slowly that shade is moving behind the. And that effect is it's going to show it only with the progress, not with the meter. So this is what we have, and again, if the browser is not able to show the meter, it's going to show this value there. So if you have an old browser or the browser which is not supporting the HTML5, it's going to show that option there. Let me go back to the other one, and that is the code igniter. Now, in order to use this code igniter, you will have to go to the code igniter website and then download the small file from the code igniter. Now the code igniter is based on the MVC model. Let's recall what is MVC. By now you are already familiar with the design patterns. So what is this MVC? I think you can get it here. You notice that if you are lucky enough, you are going to download that zip file. That is the code igniter. You need to download that. That's only a thing. If the internet is fast enough, I'll be able to download and show. But in any case, I have already downloaded it, and it's there. So this is a small zip file. It's not a very large file. If you look at the property of it, it will be less than 3 MB. It is now. It's going to be 2.19. So you need to download that to use that particular thing. It's not a plugin. It is the pre-built classes that you are going to use. Now this particular zip file contains the model, view, and controller, the base classes for generating the MVC model, and you have to derive your classes out of this MVC. If you open this one, you will notice that you are going to get the MVC here. I have purposely, I think, I installed the new version of the IDE. There is a release candidate. So my old projects are not there. Anyhow, you're going to get this one. You have the packages, built-in folders are there inside it, and you need to open and use your things. And you notice here they have the views, they have the controller, and they have the models. Apart from that, you get additional things. These are just the default ones which they have shown you for you to just run it directly on fly. If you are not happy, you can change the values over here. So what is this MVC? So who can tell me very quickly what is this MVC? So MVC has to do with the three pieces. So you have this model, you have view, and we have this controller. What is MVC? You have been using MVC. So in your Java classes, you have already used MVC. Almost all patterns are all frameworks that you are studying in the Java EE are based on MVC. Last year, I think this Microsoft people came and they might have told you MVVM is the model. Model gave you model as one model. It's based on MVC. All of them are based on MVCs. Okay. So what is M refers to? M refers to the state of your application. What is the meaning of state of your application? What are the values that are there within your application? So usually you store the state in a database. That's what he has said. U is something that you are presenting to the user. So what the user says, that is what he said. The UI controller is the one that controls what has to be done with the model and which view has to be shown to the user. So it's the one in control of the entire application. So when a request comes, controller takes it, decides what has to be done, what changes has to be done with the model or the state of the application, and what has to be shown to the user. So this is the only thing it does. So controller picks it up, goes to the model, updates the model, goes to the view and says that the model got updated. Now we will show the new updated version of the state to the user. So this is what is the, and this is more about the